We have a serious problem. We can't make the gala into the hottest ticket in town. This house could collapse. We could lose it. We have 4 of the finest singers in English operatic history.
I don't think I want to sing with Jean again.
They were married once, but it didn't work out.
We were different people then.
I have a brilliant idea.
What is it?
Oh, I can't remember. What is it?
What made you stop singing?
You must understand, I was someone once.
Why do you persist in flirting with me?
Older man, vintage wine, seasoned wood.
I'm very disappointed. I was expecting more of a barbershop thing.
Of a barbershop quartet.
With this movie?
With my girl.
I wish.
I want to go check into a nursing home right now and just wait to die. After hearing that.
I get the impression that in Britain, everybody's worried about old people taking over, or there just being a plethora of old people, old citizens living longer than they expected, and they don't know what to do with them. Because now they just keep making movies about them.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a string of movies about old people.
Yes.
And I'm like, who gives a shit? They're old.
Well, I think that's part of it, is that like we really are. People are living longer these days than they were, and suddenly they're like, hey, you know what? We're not addressing this movie-going demographic.
I thought they
did. To say this movie isn't made for people our age is an understatement. Definitely not. I mean, they're referring to stuff in a very common parlance sort of way. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that was, because it was common parlance in 1930.
Yeah. Well, I've seen so many of them, though, because it's funny that you're saying that, there's a demographic out there. And I was like, they've been out here, and it seems like these movies have been out here just because, I mean, it seems like all of 2012, half the movies have been about old people, and I'm just like, man, I can't relate to movies anymore. I really can't.
Even The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, even that. Well, Old Man Batman, what the...
I gotta say that, like, when they first started this, I was like, well, good. It's about time they stop acting like, movies stop acting like old people don't exist.
Right.
But as a point where I was like, okay, enough is enough. Yeah. And especially... I know these British films are like, okay, where you have not like you had the exotic Marigold Hotel. Mm-hmm. It's like they just said like, hey, let's make another one of these, and we'll have Maggie Smith come over and play pretty much the same character in both of them.
Except not a racist this time.
Well, not so much of a racist, but still, she's a craggy old bitch.
And yet, for me, I started feeling, I had the reverse reaction. It came on, I was like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? A bunch of old fucking musicians in a retirement home, just, what are you doing, sissy? I don't know, what are you doing, Reg? And it wasn't until the last half hour or so that this actually, I felt like it really started to get interesting. But that's for me. I mean, the story here is, like I said, a musician's retirement home for more of the sort of, I mean, we're not talking the people who retired from being in Hole with Courtney Love because she drove them insane.
Nothing that cool.
Actually, they made that movie, and it was called Still Crazy. It was a few years ago.
Fair enough. But these are like the classy British musician types. In amongst all the people here, we have a group of Billy Connolly playing Wilfred, who is Billy Connolly, if you don't know, is a very famous stand-up comedian from Scotland who had quite a long and successful career, but lately seems to have just kind of become the guy who occasionally pops up in movies like
that. He's just the colorful old guy in movies now.
Yeah, exactly. He's gotten old. Yes.
Tom Courtenay plays Reg, who is Tom Courtenay is one of those actors that is better known in England than he is ever here, but he is still highly considered. He was one of those all-time great theatrical actors who had been won multiple awards, but here we know more for stuff like Dr. Zhivago.
Still never heard of
Jesus from 1965.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he was always more of a theater actor.
Sure.
And then Pauline Collins, who is known for the show Upstairs, Downstairs. If you ever watch that, I think that show's still going on. It's going on for
is it really?
Years.
Never heard of it.
There's a spin-off show that's more Upstairs, Downstairs or something like that.
Should all be downstairs.
Left side, right side.
And she plays Sissy, and they're old friends who used to be part of a quartet.
Look, here's Jean in all her glory.
Oh, Jean. You haven't changed a jot.
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I say she still looks like a young girl?
Reggie, don't I get a kiss? Right? Now, I apologize for hurting you. Please be kind to me. We were different people then.
And everybody's prepping for their annual tribute to was it Verdi, I think, who they consider to be the greatest composer for voice ever. I'm not the world's biggest opera guy, so I'm like, if you say so.
Exactly.
That's what it sounded like.
Take your word for it.
The majority of this movie, they were speaking Greek.
But so when the fourth member of their original quartet shows up out of nowhere, played by Maggie Smith, who plays Jean Horton, who's considered in the context of the film to be one of the all-time great opera singers, who now is apparently
a great diva.
Yeah, apparently being forced into retirement because she is not too pleased to be brought to this home. It's not carousel, bitch. Get over it. They end up realizing, you know what, we've got to get past this hard exterior she's got and this decision she has that she's so depressed about being old that she'll never sing again because she can't ever be as good as she used to be. We got to get her past that so we can get the quartet back together and, go tour the country because we got a message from God.
Well, the biggest thing. Yeah.
No, not that. Wait,
I was going to say, maybe I saw a different movie.
Yeah, I know. I was that sounds better than what I saw.
I was thinking of the Blues Brothers.
Okay.
But I mean, I thought the bigger chunk of this is the relationship between, who was it? The Reginald character,
Tom
and
Gordon,
and Jean, the old
Maggie
bitch.
Smith.
Yeah, I mean, and once you realize, this is about just an old couple,
getting back together.
An ex-couple, an old ex-couple getting back together after 90 years. I mean, I was like, all right, make it interesting, folks. And I was really I wasn't so much struggling yet. I did feel like I'd spend a day at a nursing home just hanging out,
I will say this. Outside of the fact that every part of this description of this movie sounds so completely dull and uninteresting, I often like to look past that because I will like when something comes like that, it's described that way, but I go but they did something really cool or fun with it. It's like, no, you don't understand. They make it great. And here, I felt like that didn't happen.
No.
I felt like somebody described it, and I went wow, that sounds like nothing I want to see, but let's see it anyway. And I was like, oh, man, it was just like you said it was. Yeah. And it's not simply that it's so much wow, I don't give a shit, but it's I want to give a shit, but you guys are making everything so cute and precious. It's aren't these old people cute? And I was like, man, if I hadn't seen this done so many times, especially earlier this year when I didn't even like it then, I would have felt more favorable about it.
I agree with you that the cuteness got a little cloying. I mean, they were playing up, especially Billy Connolly, as being, the old,
the dirty old
perverted
man,
old bastard
Dodger.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, oh, you.
Yeah,
and yet you totally. The one thing that was keeping me going in the first half of the movie is the hope he was actually going to nail one of the nurses.
Sure,
because at no point you're like, I'm starting to think that the woman who runs this institute, she's backing down. She's starting to go.
It did look like she might crack. It was one of those where I was kind of rooting for him on that level for a little bit, but then I flashed forward to yeah, but if it actually happens, I'm going to be grossed out.
Yeah,
I'm a little curious what kind of porn you have in your collection, or what you're looking at on the internet, Cyrus. Yeah. But no, I mean, he was kind of fun, but his humor was the sense of humor in this was very safe. It was very much like a Hallmark card where halfway through, I'm like, all right, when is this quartet going to run into Elvis and start fighting mummies? I mean, please, even though the entire cast looked like a bunch of mummies, yet I was like, man, they need to do something else with this because I feel like I've seen this movie.
Someone needs to put
Please.
an alien pod in their swimming
Yes.
pool.
Will somebody suck the soul out of somebody's ass soon, please? Because it's all this. The movie seemed like a lot of buildup.
Yeah.
Yet when it gets to the end, I have to admit that ending was probably like a bigger disappointment, even when I wasn't all that invested.
Sure.
Because it seems like they're all gearing up to do this opera. And then once you get to it, it seems like the director was just like, all right, guys, you know what? Not only do you get to be in a great movie about old people, but you get to sing. So, I hope you prepare for it. And it seemed like the scene went along to as soon as they got up on that stage, I went, cut! And you heard that breath go, cut! And that's it.
Maggie Smith, Tom Courtenay, and
I know.
And Billy Connolly, they can't sing opera. I mean, I was thinking about that same thing, and I was like going, is it better that they did that, or would it have been better if they had them there, like, with their mouths open, mouthing it while real opera singers, like, synced in the voices? I'm like, you know what? I think they made the better decision not showing.
There's probably no win to it as far as that goes. Yeah. But, yeah, it is kind of like you've gone through this and told how great it's going to be, only to get there and then blah.
Of course, the fact that it was opera, I already was pretty ready for it not to be really something I was about to
Now,
sing
it would have been
opera.
hilarious if they just had them actually sing. Like, maybe that's on the Blu-ray copy and the extras where you get to that scene and they was all of a sudden like, oh!
It becomes an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia
Yeah.
where they're imagining it's
Yeah,
a great
yes,
scene,
exactly.
And you come back to reality, it's like, and then
And
somebody dies.
And the thing is, had they done that, this would have been a great movie. I would have told everybody about
it would have been on the top of my top 10
They should
list.
have done it more like What's Opera, Doc, where Michael Gambon is kind of the old surly jackass who's directing this thing, keeps coming in like Daffy Duck, and Billy Connolly keeps Bugs Bunny in his ass as they sing opera.
Well, once again, it was one of those things I was like, well, I guess it's not over until the fat lady sings, and I think they had one kind of fat lady in here. So I was like, wow, they really ended it on that joke. Damn you, Dustin Hoffman, which I was shocked this was directed by Dustin Hoffman.
It's his directorial debut.
Yeah, and he's been getting a lot of praise for it. For the sheer fact that he's an American who did this.
Who did a
and he
BBC
waited till he was
production.
7 year old. To do it. It's also, you know what, it's with that title, Quartet. I thought about a movie that co-host and I saw earlier, like a few months ago, called A Late Quartet. And there's not a whole lot of similarities other than it's a quartet and there's a lot of drama between them all. And he and I felt differently about the drama. I liked it. He didn't like it so much. But I will say when it got to the end, when they play the concert at the end, I thought it was really great. Yeah. I was like, you know what? This is a good payoff to where you get to finally see them play together and you understand why they make such a big deal about it.
Yeah, because they were so emotionally invested in what they did, besides the Jersey Shore drama of what was going on with that quartet. I mean, it's one of those things where it is like you want to see some kind of payoff. You want to see these people actually get into what they're doing. You want to know their passion, why this is so important, why they're screwing up their lives. Revolving around this whole band dynamic that they have, and you really don't get that much. You hear a lot about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of lip service.
Yeah, a lot of lip service, but you really don't feel invested.
Well, the difference here is that this is a very different type of film in the sense that they're not going for heavy drama here by any
not at all.
They're going for really a light comedy, which is about as much as this ever achieves. I actually like this a lot more than you guys did. I still think it's just a trifle of a film, to be sure, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with this movie at all. It sets out to do exactly what it wants to do for the demographic it wants to make happy, and I bet you anything, if my grandmother was alive, she would have loved this film.
I would have loved it if they actually ran into the guys from Monty Python acting as old ladies.
The Pepper Pot.
Oh, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'll have a cup of tea.
I'll have yours. I love it. I'm having spam, 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 spam,
and more spam.
spam, 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 spam.
Stop.
But no, I enjoyed the performances here. I really love these actors. I think they're wonderful at what they do. I thought Maggie Smith actually was much more interesting here than she was in the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, where they had her character do a 180 for no reason that made any sense in the context of the film. Here, it's actually understandable why she starts to change her point of view. You get to see the whole thing play out, and it's old friends with a couple basically burrs in their pasts, getting over that stuff and becoming friends again. And I mean, like I said, it's one of those things. There's not much drama. The most drama there is one of the characters at one point starts to go senile, and they're like, "What are we going to do if she's too senile to sing?"
Well, she's old. Let her go senile already. She's sung enough. All right.
She's going to get up there and just do Pagliacci while everybody else is doing
what if we do if she's too senile to sing? Here's a clue. Nobody cares.
Hey, Lady Gaga does it for a living.
True. You take off her rubber mask and she's actually Maggie Smith. But anyway, like I said, I don't think it's a bad movie, but it's also nothing to this isn't for you guys. I don't know what to tell you. Unless you have a really significant interest in opera, I don't really see it. And it's not even that much about that.
No, it's not.
Or you work in a nursing home or something, or you're 80. There's no reason to see this. But that being said, I still enjoyed it for what it was worth. I'm going to give it a low matinee.
I think, for me, the crime of this movie is the way it treats the old people as being so cute and precious, is that it doesn't give them enough credit for being interesting enough people. And anybody who's lived that long should have tons of interesting things in their life, especially a performer. I mean, they never really get into it. And I understand what you're saying, Cyrus. Its aim is low and it hits at that point, but its aim is so low. It just for me, this was like it was like unsweetened oatmeal that you would get at a nursing home. And I would just say like, oh, this is a movie for my grandmother. But my grandmother would have been like, baby, are there any of them Steven Seagal movies on right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it wouldn't even be for her. But for the people that it's for, it's unoffensive. I don't know. It's not enough for me to say, oh, this is some old bullshit. But it's a low rental. I just couldn't see telling somebody to watch it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you as far as it being just a rental. I mean, I can't even see old people in the nursing home wanting to watch this shit. Like, do we really? I got to watch a movie about me being an asshole to my friends. I'm living this shit right now. Really? Yeah, you need to hold up that mirror to me right now? No, thank you. Put that fucking Bubba Hotep movie on so I can feel like a badass. And and that's what this. I mean, not saying that this movie needed mummies and Bruce Campbell, but
wouldn't hurt.
But hey, it wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I was looking for that, but for what it is completely safe, and the unfortunate thing is that it's so safe that it's forgettable. It is completely forgettable. I mean, I think the performances are great, and I think that's probably why Dustin Hoffman is getting like all the accolades that he's getting right now, because he's been acting for since Dirt, so it's like he has to know how to do something right, and this is it. It's unfortunate though that the material it just seems like I've seen too much of it lately, and there wasn't anything really keeping my interest. So yeah, it's a flat out rental.
It's funny, like I was thinking about this when I was watching it, to this point where I had to rewind it at one point because I got too distracted in my own brain, which is easy to do in a film where nothing's happening. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking about, man, every time we see anything about retirement homes, always people are sitting around listening to classical music or Betty Goodman and like watching like the earliest days of the Tonight Show and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And they're like going, those people are all dead.
Right.
Like, I think it's a little past that. They're listening to the Beatles now. And when it gets to us, it's going to be like co-host in the robot retirement home going like, where the fuck is the Slayer?
Is there a movie review retirement home waiting for us somewhere? Maybe that's in the Czech Republic.
Soundtracks.
Oh my God, that's like
Slovakia.
That's my greatest nightmare, that we're going to end up like having to go in a retirement home and like everybody else just wants to watch like Adam Sandler films.
That's me. I was like, hey, stick me in a room with a bunch of Adam Sandler DVDs and let me shit in my bed all day, and I'll be a happy camper.
Can't we watch Black Swan?
I'll go out happy.
Hey, look, we're watching Mama's Boy again.
hey, man, if they force you to watch an Adam Sandler retrospective, won't that make death that much easier?
There is that.
No, I think death will be cutting his wrist open. I have to admit.
I don't know. It sounds like euthanasia to me, except not terribly peaceful.
It's not too late.
You're telling me to go out and smell the roses.
I'm telling you to sing.
I think you two are drunk.
I think I possibly am, although I find it very difficult to tell the difference at this age.